Well, what's up, my friend? Welcome back to this series on how to build your first AI agent. And today we're going to be talking about prompt engineering. And I know that sounds a little overly technical. It's not complicated, and I'm going to give you a simple process that you can use to make sure that your agent knows exactly what it's supposed to be doing. And this is really where the rubber meets the road. This is where you can take an agent can either be really good or can be really bad. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time working through this, and I'm going to show you my process for constructing context and giving the agent what it needs in the prompt so that it can perform the way we want it to. Now, if you're brand new and you haven't been part of this series, that's great. If you just want to learn about prompt engineering, we're here. If you want to go back and actually go through the entire series with us, I'm going to leave a link up here in the corner where you can go click on it and it'll take you back to the first video in the series. For everybody else, let's remember what we're building here. We have a custom AI agent that sits on the website, and we created a fake website called Slab and Stone Concrete Craftsman. And the goal of this agent is just to be super friendly and helpful and give any visitor of the website the information that they need in order to make an informed buying decision. And this is what that agent looks like. And we've already connected our information about our company and all our products and services. We've connected our email, we have some memory, and we have our agent brain, which is OpenAI. Now we're caught up. So let's jump in here and take a look. This is our system prompt, the system message. And these get confusing. System message, system prompt are the same thing. It's just that for some reason in N8N, they call it a system message instead of a prompt. But what we're trying to do is make sure that this agent really understands all of the ins and outs. And a good rule of thumb, if you want to know kind of, hey, what should go into every system prompt? This is what I recommend. First is the role assignment. So what is this agent and what does it do? And we sort of have that right here. You're a website support agent with access to specific tools at your disposal. The second part is context, and context we don't really have. So we want to kind of let it know what's happening, because an AI support agent, a website support agent, could mean a lot of things. So we want to give it some clarity. And then we also want to do some chain of thought stuff. So chain of thought is how you want the agent to think about the process that it's going to go through. The fourth one is constraints, and the last one is examples of some of the do's, maybe some of the do's and don'ts. Like, here's a good way to answer, and here's a terrible way to answer, and use the good way. So we can start right now by just going ahead and adding a little bit of context here. And we can kind of maybe elaborate on this and say you're a website support agent with access to specific tools at your disposal. Okay. So I added this little bit of context. Your job is to respond to user inputs accurately, concisely, and in a friendly manner while following the rules and examples provided. And when we say user inputs, this isn't really human language, but the agent understands as whoever is talking to me, they are the user. And the inputs is the information that they're putting in, basically the question they're asking or the comment that they're making. And to do that accurately, concisely, and in a friendly manner while following the rules and examples provided. All right, so now we've got a little bit of context here as well. The next thing we want to add is some chain of thought and then constraints. And this is kind of the order that you want to put them in. Now, I do this a little bit different. I just don't start out with my chain of thought. I may not even write this. I may have AI come in and actually write the chain of thought for me. What I'm looking for are constraints. I want to find areas inside of this agent where they're not responding the way I want, they're not giving me the information I want, and then I want to document that so that I can build out the rest of this prompt in a way that tells the agent what they can and can't do. And so the easiest way to do this is to open up your chat and just start talking to the agent. Pretend like you're somebody who just showed up on your website and you're wondering about a product or service. How did they come to your site? Where did they see you? Something like that. And so I'm just going to run through some of these here now, and I'm not going to make you watch me do it. What I'll do is I'll come back when there is an error or something that's wrong, and then I'll show you how to add that to your system message so that we can overcome the hurdles and make sure that your AI agent is doing exactly what you want it to do. And okay, it wasn't long before we got exactly what we were looking for. This is actually the first question I asked is, hey, I have a question about stamped concrete. Now, how do we want the agent to respond to this? Well, we wanted to say, sure, like, what's your question? Instead, what the agent did was it went to our database and pulled up information about the stamped concrete and gave us this big, long chunk of text. And then it says, if you have more specific questions or details in mind, please feel free to ask. So what we're going to do, and again, just going back to this so you guys see what we're doing, we have constraints and examples. This is a great example of what not to do versus what to do. And so I'm going to come back here into my agent, and I'm going to come down here to the bottom, and I'm going to do examples. And then we're going to say, how do we want to frame this up? Let's just say example 1, and that's a vague question. Then user, they say what was the, let's just grab the exact question that they had. I have a question about stamped concrete. Okay. Paste that in there. We'll put this in quotation marks just so that they know that this is a user input. And then we'll say bad response. And then we'll come back in here, do a little back and forth, and we'll grab this response. So let's just grab the whole thing. Good grief. Come back into here. We're going to quote this out too. Kind of bunch this up because the computer doesn't need spaces. Add that to the end. And then we're going to say good response. And then we're just going to say, sure, what's your question? Okay. So basically what we've said is, hey, don't answer with this long drawn out statement. We haven't asked any specifics. So if it's a non-specific question, answer as simply and clearly as possible. So one of the other things that we can do in here is we can come in and we can actually add our constraints in. And we'll just say, let's just say never respond with overly complicated or technical answers when responding to a general question. Okay. So, and again, these don't have to be perfect right now. We can always come back in and refine them. This is a process that we're just going to have to go through to make sure that the agent is responding the way we want. So let's go and test this now. So let's save. Let's go ahead and refresh. So we've got a clean bill, and let's just see if it's using this. I have a question about stamped concrete. Sure, what's your question about stamped concrete? Perfect, that's exactly what we wanted to do. I want to put in a new back patio, and I want to know what to budget. Now it's going to go and grab the rag, because now it needs that data. For a new stamped concrete back patio, you can expect a budget around $12 to $25 per square foot. This price includes the base slab plus the stamped process, which typically adds $4 to $10. Keep in mind that extra features like multicolored design, decorative borders, and high gloss will increase the cost. If you have more specific details or size in mind, I can help you refine the estimate. Okay, good. So I'm going to continue to play around with this a little bit and see if I can come up with some things that we need to add again to make sure that this agent is responding the way we want. Okay, so what I'm noticing now about all of these responses is that they're really long-winded, and we don't need, there's a whole bunch of extra information here that we don't really need. And so I'm going to try and tighten this up. And then there's one more thing I want to do as well. One of the things is I've been having this conversation, we're 3 or 4 or 5 questions in, and it hasn't asked me if I want to talk to somebody, like talk to a human being. And I want to make sure that if the user is giving a buying question, like, hey, how much does this cost, or what sort of stamp options do I have? These are like buying questions, pricing questions. And I want to make sure that when that comes up, the agent goes ahead and responds with an option to talk to somebody, because we want to try and capture, we don't just want it to be a friendly assistant, right? We want it to actually be helping us increase our leads and increase our sales by capturing that information when somebody's in the mood to be giving it. So let's come back in here into our AI agent, and let's change a couple of things. So first, under constraints, we're going to say always be concise. Concise? Is that how you spell concise? Let's hope so. Always be concise, 1 to 2 sentences, unless clarification is necessary or clarification is required. So we're going to try and hold it to just a couple of sentences. And then we also want to put in here a rule, and we need to have this, we'll probably put this up here underneath, probably in between here. So if the user says they would like to speak to a team member, we've got some rules for that. But then let's also put in here, if user asks a pricing question or has asked more than 3 questions, then ask user if they would like to speak to a team member. Yeah, so I like that. So now we're basically told it, be more concise in your answers. And hey, if 3 questions have gone back and forth, or if they ask a pricing question, then we want to make sure that the agent offers to let them talk to a human being. Okay. And then of course, if they say yes, then we're going to have them answer 2 questions again, like we just did before. Do you want a text or do you want an email? We're going to follow that same process. So again, let's come back here, click save. We're going to refresh this and let's just ask, well, let's just ask it right at the very front. How much is a new stamped concrete patio? And what it should do is answer us. Pricing can vary depending on size and design. Would you like to speak to a team member for detailed pricing? So it did that. You can say, no, I want to talk to you. Can you give me some idea of what it would cost? Again, I'm just trying to think like a normal human who would be interacting with the agent. And now it comes up and it's going to go ahead and pull this information. So this is the process that we go through when we're designing the agent and we're putting together all of the information that we want. And this takes time. So I won't make you, it'd be mind-numbingly boring for you to sit here and watch me go through this for hours working on refining this prompt and getting it ready. But this is the process that you're going to have to go through. And when you find something you don't like, go back into the agent, update the system message, and then try it again. So one of the things I know, because I built this thing before I did this recording, is that if we don't give it specific instructions, it's going to continue to ask over and over again, hey, do you want to talk to a rep? Hey, do you want to talk to a rep? So we'd have to add in some clarifiers, some constraints that says, hey, don't ask if they want to talk to a rep in the first question. And don't ask 2 times in a row. Right? If they say they don't want to talk to somebody, then continue the conversation and let another 3 cycles go by before you ask again, right? So these are simple things that the agent kind of needs to understand. You can think of this, most of these agents like a junior level assistant or maybe an entry level employee who really doesn't know their head from a hole in the ground. And unless they have very clear tasks and specific instructions, they tend to run off the rails, okay? But what I do want to show you now is let's assume that we've got this system prompt really where we want it to be. If this is we're looking at it, we're going, yeah, I think this is perfect. One of the things that is usually really helpful is to take this to an AI agent that specializes in writing these kind of prompts and give them all of this information and let them write a system prompt. And I'm going to show you 2 different places where you can go to do this. The first one is, this is a free school community that's run by a friend of mine named Bradford Carlton. And it's called Automate Business AI. And this is free to join. And I would highly suggest if you're interested in building these for yourself that you do, because he's a great guy. But go into the classroom and down here under custom GPT prompts, if I click on access this system prompt, he gives you this for free. And this is a custom ChatGPT agent that is built to create these kind of prompts. And so what I'm going to do here then is I'm going to come back to this workflow and I'm just going to copy this and take it into here and I'm going to paste it. And that's all you got to do. You don't got to give it any instructions because it already knows what it's supposed to do with this. And what it's going to do is start writing out the system prompt in a way that's going to be really helpful for that agent. And you'll notice it gives you step-by-step instructions. So this is when we talked before about the chain of thought. right? This chain of thought right here. That's what it's doing here, is it's coming through the chain of thought and giving it some rationale about what it's supposed to do. Then it gives it a few constraints, a couple of examples on how to respond. Now, this is usually pretty good, but what I would recommend is that you come in and you actually read through all of this and make sure that it makes sense to you and it's exactly what you want. So in a lot of these examples, it may not have gotten it quite right. So you've got to come in and do it in there. So this is one way to do it. And I've been using this for a lot of my prompts, actually for most of them, since I found it. And so the other one is actually in ChatGPT. So you already set up, we're at inplatform.openai.com. And then I've clicked on the chat here in the corner. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to paste into there. This is a new feature from OpenAI that will actually create a prompt for you. So I'm going to paste that in. And what it's going to do is it's going to write the prompt for me. Boom, that was fast. Yep. And it's done somewhat of the same thing. Tools and handling. It's got constraints. It's got reasoning and conclusion order, output format, and then it's got examples in here as well as important information at the bottom to remember. So one of the things about AI agents is another thing about the way the prompts work is that they tend to remember things at the very beginning of the prompt and the things at the very end. And it's the stuff in the middle that tends to get jumbled up. And so it's a good procedure, a good rule of thumb that if there's very important things like respond concisely and clearly in 1 to 2 sentences, unless otherwise specified, that ensures that it's one of the last things that the AI remembers, and it's more likely to do those over and over again. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to take either one of these and we're going to copy them. We're going to take them back to our agent and we're going to remove what we just wrote and we're going to paste in. Actually, what I'm going to do before that is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go put it into a document somewhere just so that I don't lose my original. Then I can come back, I can copy this over, take it back into N8N, delete what was there and then paste it in. Because there is the chance that putting this together actually makes the AI agent worse, not better. It's rare, but it does happen. And it's always nice to be able to go back to your core message and system message that you wrote in plain English and then do some modifications to that and then try again. But that's the process of prompt engineering. And in the next video, we're going to round out this series and we're actually going to take this agent and we're going to put it on our website. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, if that video is out, it's going to pop up right here where you can just go click on it and watch it. And if it's not, hey, don't forget to be subscribed to hit that like, hit that share, hit that bell icon, the subscribe so that you never miss one of these videos. Okay, but that's how we do it. So now you're set up. We've got our whole agent ready to go. And all we need to do now is deploy it onto our site. And I'll see you guys in the next video.